Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Hotel Talk. And today I have with me someone who's very much at the heart of the hotel industry here in Cyprus. He is Zacharias Ioannides, who is the former head of Cyprus, which in English is the Cyprus Hotel Association. And he was there for a staggering 31 years. He's retired now and looking so much better for it, young and youthful and fresh. And he has recently written a book, which is in Greek, and translated it is Unlocking Your Soul. So he's going to tell us a little bit about this, but we're going to start right at the beginning and go into his childhood, what led him into the hotel industry, and just really get to know the man behind Zacharias Ioannides.
At your disposal, dear Farah, and to your listeners, and definitely, first of all, to start with a warm thank you for your kind invitation, and very much eager to unlock my soul on air. I was born in the occupied town of Morphou, where I was living for the first 6 years of my life, from a father who is a pharmacist and a mother who was a music teacher. And that was really a blessing, I must say, because at the age of 6, I was sent by my mother to my aunt, who was living in Nicosia, also a music teacher as well, and as a companion, because we lost our grandfather, who was under the care of my aunt in Nicosia. And in a noble gesture, I would say, and very courageous at the time, my mother, in a loving gesture to her sister, who was single, said that I will send you Zacharias as a companion so as not to feel alone. And I must admit, I had the privilege of having 2 mothers, because I was not deprived at all of the mothering care by my aunt. It was
and you
really
were 6 years old?
Yes.
So I know that this happened a lot in Cyprus, and I think in the Mediterranean in general, where there invariably have been very big families. We're used to having huge families. I mean, my grandfather was a child of 13, my dad a child of 8. And there was
just 2, but it's good.
So you were just 2, meaning you and your sibling?
And my brother.
And your brother?
Yes.
And your mum was one of how many?
My mother was one of 3, and my father one of 6.
So this is where my question lies. So in the big families, I still couldn't imagine it personally, having my own kids. I couldn't imagine saying, oh, I'll kind of borrow one of them for a bit. But I know that it happened where, you know, there was the single or unmarried sibling who then, when another sibling would have 8 children and couldn't cope, would say, here, take a couple. They normally would live close anyway.
That's right.
You know, you guys go and stay over there with Auntie Stavroula.
And
we'll see each other, but
weekends,
it will be...
etc., yes.
But in your case, it's a smaller family unit, maybe a tighter one, where your mother wasn't from a huge family, but there was the unmarried then sibling. And then she only had 2 children with 2 boys, and she still almost sacrificed.
That's why I refer to this as a noble and courageous gesture, because they had already my brother, who was 3 years older than me, and did this gesture of caring and giving to her sister the chance not to feel lonely, because she was fully, although a teacher, a music teacher, daily going to school, etc., teaching, but taking care, returning home every day, of her father, my grandfather, who had also the name of Zacharias, from where I got it. And once gone, she will feel the house empty. So having the emotional bondage of taking care of the child of her sister gave her courage to proceed.
Giving and receiving love.
That's right. And I honestly feel privileged that I had the blessing and the prototype of 2 mothers.
Because you moved quite far away. I mean, Nicosia wasn't
It was just an hour drive, and we were going there every weekend, visiting my parents, etc. Okay, I must admit, the first few months were very hard, and me crying. I want to go back to my mom, to my father, etc., etc. But after a few months' time of transition, smooth transition, I would say, I was enjoying every minute of it. Growing up in Nicosia, rather than a much smaller town of Morpho. But
So you took that challenge and you made it
and
into a positive.
a very positive, I must admit. That's why my first child, my first daughter, was taken by the name of Aliki, of my aunt.
Auntie.
Because I owe her a lot. But coming back to the childhood, I must admit, in order to appreciate how deeply I feel honored to have this mother and aunt, being teachers and music teachers, instead of other gifts that they give us on birthdays and other name days, etc., they will give us literature books. So from very young age, they developed us towards an inclination to reading literature, poetry, etc., etc. And the other thing is that from the 5 or 6 years of age, they enrolled me at the music academy, taking lessons of violin. I must admit, the great composers had a very hard time seeing my first attempts for the first couple of years. But after the third and fourth year, that you establish a rapport with a very challenging musical instrument like the violin, but why is referred to as the king of musical instruments, the violin, because it's not marked there with your fingers and practice, etc. You can press the right note, etc. So by the fourth year, oh my God, I was in love with music.
Yeah.
And that's why, coming from a musical family, mother and aunt being music teachers, me and my brother also learning. My brother was playing the accordion, I was playing the violin. And then, I don't know if it's in the DNA of the family, my daughter studied at Berklee College of Music
Wow.
in Boston, music.
My sister-in-law was there.
Yes, and I very much believe in music. It cultivates the soul, and it's very much, let's say, developing a human person into or towards a harmonious interaction with other people and with what happens around us.
Where did your mum and your auntie get their love for music? I mean, also it must be in the genes, but did they grow up with an influence of music?
Yes, my grandmother was a teacher as well, so it goes from generation to generation.
There's a talent.
And already, actually, in my first launching of my book, the presentation I had in Nicosia recently, the great regret of my daughter, it could not come to, let's say, stand by her father and see the launching of his first book, because on the day before that, it was the graduation day of the music academy of my granddaughter, who was performing as well, playing the piano, etc.
Wow,
so
the musical family, amazing.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, I must admit, being part of the orchestra of the school, of the high school then, and all along in my life, music is a very integral part of my being, let's say.
I'm always in awe of people with musical talent because I have none. I played the piano for years and years and years and was absolutely terrible at it. No. So I promise.
But it came out into your personality. So
yes,
in
there's
your
some
human
other way.
there is a musical aura.
Yeah, I like listening to music, so it's good. So, okay. So that was your early childhood. Tell us, how did it progress? How did you end up going from loving music to going into hotels?
Oh, you'll be amazed. You are sitting well, so you are not falling down.
I'm in my seat.
You don't have the risk. Yes. So let me go to the high school times. There I had the other privilege of being encounter with sports. And how did that happen? At the age of 13, our physical gymnastics teacher at high school identified that I had a talent in basketball. So he drove to Morpho to convince my mother, who was totally objecting that this, because he wanted to enroll me at a team that was playing in the National League of Cyprus. and said, no, this will have a bad effect on his performance at school, etc. So he managed to convince my mother, with the help of my father, that sports will help him
Yeah, I
in
was going to
developing,
say.
etc. And basketball, especially being a team sport, which gave me another, let's say, privilege in the sense of studying at the first university of life of sports, which means fair play, very strict discipline in attending trainings, etc., team spirit in order to reach the ultimate of successful and victorious performances, but also shaking and congratulating the opponent if he was the best performer on the day and managed to win. And all these have been also very useful tools and guidance towards my professional years later. So before coming to the answering the question, I would go a step. At the age of 18, we had to enroll to do our national service at the National Guard. It was 1973. It was at the time, according to the decision of the government, to be a 14-month service, but eventually ended up 26 months because at July of 1974, we had the unfortunate experience of the coup and then the invasion of Turkey to Cyprus, which taught me very useful lessons as well. First of all, the very hard shock and impact that had on my soul, experiencing my parents, packing rashly, putting few clothes in a luggage, just by hearing that the Turks have already entered Morpho, our hometown, in order to save themselves, and said, my father said, don't worry, it's the name of my mother. We're going for 2-3 days and we'll be returning back to our home. They ended up being up in the sky after almost half a century of being refugees in their own country. Of course, they managed to reactivate themselves. My mother as a teacher, my father as a pharmacist, opened his own pharmacy in Nicosia. But at that encounter, serving at Regis area, Kaimakli area, a suburb of Nicosia on the front line, I had the second most horrific experience, seeing just a couple of meters next to me a co-fighter there to protect our town, being hit by a bazooka and struck violently on the wall beside, with all his body being scattered and his face unrecognizable. And that, as let's say, subconsciously, in order to save me from the shock, took me back to the school parties that we had, dancing at the beats of the Beatles. We had the universal slogan, make love, not war, as a protecting reminder of what war and devastating effects any war can have. There are no winners in any war. Only losers are coming out of wars. And this was another very important lesson in life, to always try harmoniously, peacefully to solve any confrontation that you may have, either in your professional life or with other people, etc., by finding a compromise solution and a win-win proposition. Because as the book basically and has its main theme and message is one word, love. Love, we are the derivative of love. What are we, human beings? Are the fruit of love. And we are given this divine gift from God to give and receive love, not kill each other. So this is the phase of my life of war. And to see how important is, what is the paramount importance? We are all human beings of respecting and accepting each other, irrespective of differences, be it religion, be it origin, be it color, or whatever, or even ideologies. Everyone is entitled to have his own ideology in life. We have to respect and respect each other for whatever difference. Went to university in England, University of Surrey. As I said, I was playing basketball. And in our basketball team of the university, who was amongst the leaders of the universities league that we have, it was a multinational team. And one of the most important memories I have from my university times is my fellow basketball player, Ali Badu, I still remember his name, of Turkish origin. An impeccable person, gentleman, and always, whenever he was coming to practice or for a game, whenever his eyes were encountering my eyes, he was doing a move downwards, in a way subconsciously recognizing how damaging and bad effect had his own country to my own country. But we were perfectly harmoniously helping each other and into was so many winning games, etc. But in practice, etc., as we all should be. Our team of at the University of Surrey of basketball was consisting of 2 Greek Cypriots, my brother and myself, who was also studying. He was already finishing his PhD in physics, and I was enrolled in the physics department as well of University of Surrey. That's a question. I'm a BSc of physics with economics degree, first degree, and then did redirection of master's
and
degree.
why physics and economics? Yeah.
Because I was always fond of mathematics. Mathematics, it was a beautiful game in the sense of problem solving, etc. It's like a crossword or something, etc. But it's a very challenging topic if you are inclined to numbers, etc. So that was the story about how we are all human beings, irrespective of our differences. And I can tell you, because for the last 3 years that I'm studying more deeply literature and the Greek philosophers and T.S. Eliot and whatever poets that the Nobel Prize winners under the mentorship of Dr. Cyprus Ioannides, a very established, deep academic and writer himself, is that love is basically one of the most frequent topics that you'll find in all the great writers, honoring what love is and what can bring to people and into peace in the world.
And trying to explain it in its different forms.
Yes, yes. And so this was part of establishing in the multinational basketball team 2 Greek Cypriots, 1 Turk, 1 Greek, 1 Persian, 1 American, and 1 British. And we were all playing so nicely with no difference whatsoever intervening into our harmonious coexistence in the team, but also at our free time as well. And Ali Badu, being of Turkish origin, I can tell you, however odd may sound, he could be easily the prototype of the Greek philosophers speaking about the universal citizen, about a peaceful coexistence of nations, with us being citizens of the world, not of just a region or a country, etc. And this is of paramount importance and should prevail always. And of a fair play, in Greek we say ev agonises, to compete for
The better
a
good.
better good. So coming back from the studies to Cyprus, I tried, and thank God I didn't manage to succeed, to inquire with the Ministry of Education, when do you expect I could get an appointment at the high school teaching physics? No, I did my master's degree, first of all, in London after graduating from the physics, to transportation planning and management with specialization in airline management. So I came back to Cyprus and inquired whether and how quick we can get an appointment to become a physics teacher. And they said, come again in 20 years. Oh my God, that was the best blessing I could ever have by being given that such a period of time. So I said, okay, take advantage and see how you can exploit the opportunities for career, taking and using your master's degree specialization in airline management as a specific division of transportation planning and management. So I opted to make my thesis for the master's degree in development strategy for Cyprus Airways, so as to give me the opportunity to come in contact with the airline, feed me with some data and information,
Clever
etc.
plan.
And actually, one of my key recommendations of the thesis, it was about time for Cyprus Airways to consider developing a subsidiary company, a charter operations company, so as to be able to compete on par with the charter operators. Because by definition, all the textbooks of airline management were saying no scheduled airline can compete with a charter airline, because the charter airline has much lower cost base. They don't have to have big headquarters and rigid schedules, etc., etc. You just enter into a contract for the whole season, no selling expenses, and so one of the key recommendations was about time for Cyprus Airways to develop a charter subsidiary so as to be more penetrating in the various markets and being able to compete on par with the charter operators, the established charter operators. And actually that recommendation came into life after I managed to enter the airline back in 1980 when I returned back. And we had the very rapid development of Eurocypria at the time. But the funny thing is that I had to enter the airline because of trade union objections as a high school graduate, not as a qualified person. In other countries, with a qualification in airline management at the master's level, etc., you could earn a managerial position by your employment. No, I had to go from the lowest level of new entrants into the airline, but I have no regrets because, okay, that's the mentality of trade unions, etc. But my evolution in the airline was very rapid, and I had the privilege to be actually the right hand of the whoever was the commercial manager of the airline. So by the age of 23, 24, when I returned back to Cyprus with my qualifications, I was entering the boardrooms of the state-of-the-art airlines of Europe by the once or twice a year meetings we had to do with all Swiss Airs, British Airways, Lufthansa's, SAS, and all the likes of Air France. So sitting at their headquarters, and then they were coming the next meeting to Cyprus, and that was another university of life that I had the privilege of at the age of tender age of professional career, 23, 24, sitting in the boardrooms with top executives of prototype airlines of the world, like the ones I mentioned, average age 50 or 60 years of age, and receiving all that strategic thinking and planning and other, mature considerations of top executives. So that was another university of life, let's say, privilege that I had to receive at a relatively younger age. So that was my career with Cyprus Airways, leaving the airline as the head of marketing and being also serving for the last few years of my 9 years career in the airline as the spokesman of the airline, which gave me another interaction with the media and the journalists, etc., giving interviews and establishing the rapport of conveying the messages of the airline to the general public through the media, TV, and the press. So the appointment was open to compete for the position of the Director General of Cyprus Hotel Association. I made an application, and they called me in for an interview. At the time, 1989, hoteliers and Cyprus Airways were like a bull in an arena with a red flag, etc., a red cloth. When I went to the interview, I remember Mr. Ioannides, are you serious in your application for the position? Or is it to use it as a step to get a further promotion in the airline? No, I'm genuinely very serious because I am at the level of my further evolution in the airline is blocked by the trade unions because they had a demand at the chairman at the time, late Stavros Ioannides, no further evolution of Zacharias unless we get promoted, irrespective if they didn't have any qualifications or anything like that. So for the last 2 or 3 years of my service, I was assigned duties of a managerial position, but my position was at the so-called, it was a British hierarchy, superintendent or something, supervisor and superintendent, and then going to the management positions. So any further evolution of Zacharias must follow our own evolution because he already evolved very rapidly in the ladder of the
Yeah, so it wasn't based on meritocracy.
Yes. So when
But why
convinced the board,
hotels though? I mean,
because
why?
I
Like,
was in
you
the
know, you hadn't
tourism-
been, it's tourism, but
I never worked in the operational
and what was
side.
the pull and the draw?
The pole on the door, it was basically my inclination towards tourist industry because Cyprus Airways was serving the tourist industry. And actually, I was part of 2 key developments in Cyprus Airways. The one about being officially announced, as they had in many countries up in Europe as well, the national carrier of Cyprus, which gives an emotional bondage and attachment of the local population towards their own flag carrier in a way. And the other, it was gradual deregulation of the air, of the skies. And I was proposing this, but I had a strong opposition internally because they thrived. Cyprus Airways were thriving on oligopoly. Give you an example. The market of Israel for Cyprus, it was stagnant around 15, 20,000 Israeli arrivals per year because of the oligopoly between El Al and Cyprus Airways. And you know, a flight of less than an hour or so, and you had to pay $300, $350 for a trip. Now you travel with $30, $40, $50 because of the open skies that we then lobbied for when I joined the association. So I convinced the board at the time that I was serious in my interest because I love the tourist industry. I want to contribute in its evolution. And I was, let's say, brought up with a spirit, leave self, the ego, behind, and try always by giving. And I remember,
Sorry.
bless you, and I remember my late mother having a very wise advice that he gave me for a young age. My son, remember that if you receive, you just fill your palm. But if you give, you fill your soul and you see where the wealth lies, not in the temporary feeling of the palm of your hand, but by having the feeling of wealth and wellness within your soul. And then you will discover that where the beauty and the mission of ourselves in life. And this have proven in the course of serving as good as I could the interest of the tourist evolution of our island. And of course, having the responsible position of Director General of Cyprus Hotel Association, the oldest association of the tourist industry, in the next couple of years to celebrate 90 years of existence with the goal of contributing towards the involvement of the tourist industry for maximizing its contribution to the socio-economic growth of our island for the benefit of the people of Cyprus. And this is a very noble and fulfilling mission to serve. And believe me, I enjoyed every single day, every single year of my 40 years career of serving this very crucial and vital of vital importance sector of the economy of our island. So that's why hotel industry, and it's a very beautiful, it's a human-oriented and human-driven industry by giving and receiving in the interaction of people from all over the world. And this is the mission of tourism, to cultivate peace through facilitating the interaction of people irrespective of their differences, and through this interaction to learn and respect each other irrespective of whatever differences we may have. And this is the foundation of peace. So it's not a blessing serving this industry for 40 years. My God, I'm fulfilled.
It's amazing. So tell us a little bit, get controversial now, the difference for those who don't know between pasikse and stek.
I don't and never consider to have differences. And allow me to be mildly controversial as well. All this is because of ego. Because at the elections of 1997 for the new board and new president of the association, one group did not manage to get the lead of the association, decided this association cannot serve our interests anymore. We are of a different breed and we can develop. These are notions I respect. Okay, everybody has ambitions, everybody has, but we're a small island, dear Farah. And if you ask me, it's counterproductive. We have 99.9% the common policies, same goals, same aspirations, etc. And I was very pleased to hear recently that our talks are again being put on the table for reuniting the two associations into one. It doesn't make sense, believe me.
To get people to choose as well.
And we have common goals, common policies. Everything is common, and we were always cooperating, irrespective of the separation that took place in 1997. We are always cooperating, and we are friends.
Yeah,
Never
absolutely.
have but it's ambitions. That was basically the reason.
I want to get back to something you said earlier, which really struck me, which is about when you mentioned watching someone on the front line be basically blown up in front of you. I mean, nowadays, people see something a bit funny on the internet and they need therapy for years and years to get over it, not to actually be in a war firsthand and see something like this. You're quite a grounded person, you're quite well. Definitely this has affected you in your life, but how did you stop that becoming PTSD? Maybe it did, post-traumatic stress disorder. Maybe you went through your own battles at the time. Maybe you saw your own mentors, or how did you stop that taking over your life and creating a fear?
I took it from the positive side of things.
And also a near miss, because it could have been you.
That's right. It was
It
less
was,
than 2 minutes.
it was literally luck. Why that person and not you?
They block the movement between roads. We were in a neighborhood. We are fighting from house to house. We are even talking to each other with the text opposite, etc. But when the instructions were coming, now it's time for firing. And thank God, I have not seen in my eyes killing another person, because it was behind, closed windows, or
You didn't see the person who did it, you mean?
So from my bullet, I deprived the life from the one opposite. I don't know. And this, in a way, it was a safeguard for my psychological balance or guilt and conscience, etc. But that experience with my colleague next to me, it was, may sound odd, but a very crucial lesson of life that you have to serve in your life in order not ever these things happens again. That's why I had perfect, let's say, even with our inverted commas enemies in our hotel industry, the trade unions that they demand more things. were always in good terms and peaceful, although hard negotiations that were going every 3 years in reaching the new collective agreement for the, but respecting each other, because we're always aiming to reach a win-win proposition, in the sense, for the first of all, above all, the benefit of the tourist industry, how to remain competitive, but at the same time to safeguard, yes, the rights and benefits for the hotel employees, so as to have a decent quality of life. Because let's be honest, unless a human being feels that he's respected and his input is rightfully rewarded, and he cannot have a decent quality of life in his household, how would you expect him to be and excel in delivering his professional service and career, serving other people as well? So this having in mind, I say yes, this war experience that I had at the tender age of 20 served me very and direct me how to behave in life, so as, if and to the extent that I can influence, never to have wars again happening and killing each other, as I say. And
the image of that you managed to put to the side. You didn't keep reoccurring,
or as rather as a shield, that this that you experience just next to you should not, as far as you are concerned, be ever allowed to happen to any other human being. The book, that's what is thriving about: love and how to respect each other, how to work towards peace, what the devastating effects of war, and this is what this poetry is all about, in a way, as a reflection of my experiences through life. And yes, I'm a passionate fan of love. Yes, because what
we love
better
that.
things, you know what the big writers of the world say? All of them, the Nobel Prize winners, etc. Love is the moment that brings us closer to God. I was shocked, because I will say it provocatively. I hate having sex, but I adore making love. And there is a big distinction. In making love, you share your soul with the other person. You give and take, while sex is just a mechanic operation. And that's why you see it gloriously prevailing where sex prevails during wars, where human beings bring themselves to the animalistic instincts, and they do not respect the other person.
And rape happens, and
you hear, I said, and I'm getting shocked, alarming stories, what is happening during wars.
Horrible.
Why should we allow this?
We had Paul Lambison here, who's made an amazing documentary called 74 about the invasion through the eyes of women, and both Cypriot, Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot. And the stories, some of them we said on the episode, and some others he just couldn't share them, and he shared them after we stopped recording, and they were just horrific.
Farah, I'm telling you from my own experience, you lose your human. Even if you exercise self-control, and especially...
Well, I think you have to in order to keep doing it.
To survive. You have to kill the other person in order to survive. What is this? Is this how we were brought up? How this... And this is, you know what is shocking, is this is the derivative of wrong notions of few leaders that we elect. And we
have
see
their own
them,
psychological issues.
yes, and we see them how go astray from what they promise to deliver, etc. And then they are conquered by, how can I say it? It's difficult to express it.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting, you know.
It's devastating.
Which is the most promising segment of your population? It's not the youth. And instead of developing a peaceful and a nice environment to cultivate and bring their dreams and making them a reality, you send them to kill each other.
Yeah.
Well, what is this? Is this?
Well, I know in Africa, I've read some autobiographies of children who were child warriors, but they had to be drugged. You know, they were introduced to drugs at the age of 6 in order to hold guns and just go out and kill, because it's not a natural instinct in a child to go and kill. It's just not.
It's not.
And it's not a natural instinct to be racist, to discriminate against people, to have any of these things. So
instead of
war is
developing
extremely
growth,
sad.
health, and universities, etc., you sell weapons. What? For killing each
And
other.
they make so much money from it. That's what, not that everyone wants to talk about the Dalai Lama at the moment, but he said if every 8-year-old in the world was taught the art of meditation, there'd be no wars.
Yes, and what Dostoevsky also wrote. Beauty is the only savior of our world. Unless we manage to respect and cultivate beauty,
And appreciate
not just
it.
externally, but in our souls, then we are in the path
And to be
of
connected with
peace in the
nature.
world.
When
That's
you're connected with nature, you feel better in yourself. It's one of the
Farah,
proven...
let me tell you something. For the last 4 years that I'm living in Limassol, it's amazing how many sounds, how many flavors that are around us, that I was passing by, driving to get to the next meeting, etc. I never recognized that they were existing.
Appreciated
And
them,
now,
noticed them.
every night that I walk with my companion by the seaside, on the waves, and listening, as I said to my beloved, precious daughter in the States, Kuklaramu, that's how I refer to my beauty.
Little doll.
Little doll. You know, every night I'm going to a new concert. That I know you love theater, I know you love recitals and symphony orchestras, etc. But have some control, not every night. You'll be amazed how God creates every new symphony, every single night when I walk by the waves.
Yeah.
What different melodies are creating. Once you allow your soul and body to be a recipient of signals of nature, you will be amazed. And then I became a poet.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I have so many questions still to ask you. I want to ask you what your greatest achievement was in Basikse. And then I do want to leave that part and go into you moving to Limassol, what you love about Limassol. I mean, I'm a very proud Limassolian, and I just think it's the best city in Cyprus. So to tell us a bit about that. And then how you were inspired, and tell us a bit about your amazing book that you're launching now.
First of all, I cannot single out, honestly, a single biggest achievement, and it's not a sole achievement. It's a collective achievement of both president and the board and my own colleagues that I have. We were only 5 at the secretariat of the association, but devoted professional people, whom I admire and respect very highly, as well as all the chairman, presidents, and the board members of the association. But I may pinpoint a couple of, let's say, real achievements that we managed. The first one, it was the Gulf crisis in 1991. At the time, because of the missiles could hit the British bases in Cyprus, this automatically was projected on all the reports that were coming about the Gulf crisis. Remember, it was the invasion to Kuwait of Iraq, and the effect, its devastating effect, could potentially have on Cyprus. Automatically, Lloyd's of London raised the insurance premiums for the airlines, which made it prohibitive for them to continue flying. So it was in January of 1991, and we had to leave that traumatic experience of seeing even the few tourists that were in Cyprus to be rushed back to their home, and the airlines announcing.
And in the news, whenever they have the news and they show the Middle East, you see Cyprus, because we're Eastern Mediterranean.
Within the range of the missiles that could hit Cyprus. So In January, all the airlines decided we discontinue our flights to Cyprus indefinitely. My God, it was, I remember, a high-level meeting at the presidential palace, and we were assigned, both myself and Frini Mikhail, then my counterpart at the CTO, Cyprus Tourist Organization, on the so-called European mission. You have £5 million budget. You go and convince the airlines and the tour operators to do their planning and programs and keep them rare in order with them to start again flying to Cyprus and bringing tourists before the start of the summer season. So with Frini, we ended up with going from the headquarters of all the major tour operators of Europe and the airlines and the charter companies, and we were very happy to see that irrespective of all the forecasts that will be a devastating year of our tourists, we ended up 1991 with only 10% drop in our tourist arrivals, and 1992 registered 40% growth in our tourist arrivals versus 19.
I mean, that was really
in a way,
great, yeah.
like never happened, the Gulf crisis and its potential devastating effects on our tourist industry. And the second one, I must say, it was our success with Troika. When they had the various meetings during the Eurogroup crisis of 2013, I remember it and I laugh. Excuse me. Well, in our first meetings with Troika, we said we are confident that the tourist industry can lead the way in the economic recovery of our island from the disaster, etc., and we tabled to them a 5-year plan. We were stagnant before the Eurogroup at 2.3, around 2.2, 2.3 million annual tourist arrivals. We said we are confident that within the 5-year plan, we can reach 3.5 million tourist arrivals annually to Cyprus. And whoever were saying this, were looking at us, look, we're at the edge of the
abyss.
And you are talking about growing the tourist industry to almost double the numbers, or 60% growth in a 5-year plan. The officials of Troika, they believed our plan, and said to the government, yes, you must support the tourist industry because it has the potential to be the vehicle through which you can expedite the economic recovery of the island. And they gave us the built-in coefficients, etc., through not monetary, but through other means, incentives in order to upgrade our product and be competitive in the marketplace. Dearest Farah, in 4 years, not 5 years, it was a 5-year, in 4 years, we managed not to exceed our goal of 3.5 million, but to have 2018 close to 4 million tourist arrivals to our island. That was a very fulfilling thing. All the people, when we first tabled our plan, were, you can sense when the other people say, well, look at them, they are out of context. They are
dreaming.
Daydreaming. We are visionaries because we know what the tourist industry can do and what can do even for the years to come by working together and together with our partners from abroad who feed us tourist flow, be it airlines, be it tour operators, be online travel agencies and search engines, etc., because it's the biggest and more vital sector of the economy. And I thank God we managed to be convincing. And this is another thing that I remember as an achievement. In the past, and you have experienced it as well, whenever, he's a hotelier, we are not appreciated as a breed, let's say, of the population and of the economy and of our greatest contribution for the well-being of our people. So, no, hoteliers look only for their own pocket. And this was the notion in previous governments, in the past. Hoteliers, they only are selfish, they think of themselves. One of the biggest achievements that we had is to change this wrong
mentality
and misled
because we support
notion.
so much of the community.
And they came to appreciate when Basikse is talking not for the benefit of the pockets of the hoteliers. Firstly, for the benefit of the tourist industry and the economy of the island, and through that benefits would be
Yeah, the
right
ripple
for the
effect
hotels.
is huge. Is huge. And Haris Theoharos spoke about that on this podcast.
Yes, that's right. And this is a very big achievement, changing this wrong approach and mentality they had towards the hotel industry.
Do you think it's because we can't pack up and leave? That's what I've come to conclude, because they're definitely not like that with the shipping industry, let's say, or with the Forex or everything else. They panic. Whereas with us, they're like, oh, because what can we do? We can't say, okay, well, I'm taking my hotel and I'll reopen in Spain.
There is a problem,
That's
there is
it,
a
you're
challenge.
here.
We are here to face it and make and transfer it and transform it into an opportunity of further improving ourselves.
Well, I definitely think you've achieved an awful lot.
So this is...
Let's talk about this.
This is my new baby.
Oh my goodness.
New baby.
And it's a collection of poems.
Yes, it's a collection
And
of poems.
you've written these over the last 4 years since you've been in Limassol?
Yes.
So these are Limassolian products.
I would say it's a soul
No, I'm joking.
product.
It's your whole life.
But partly was inspired by the beauty of Limassol, this cosmopolitan nature, and its, let's say, facilitation of coming closer to the beauty of nature,
I love
the
this.
seaside, and within half an hour you're up on the mountains,
Yeah.
which is another beauty of going down the nature.
And it
trails,
is. You can
etc.
see just flicking through it, so much nature is involved in here
And
and
it's
the soul. So tell us about this.
impeccable.
I mean, obviously this is a culmination of your whole life's experience
That's
so
right.
far, because you've
And
got a long way to go still. But tell us, what
It's the main
inspired you to write
lessons.
these down and then publish it and share
As I mentioned
this?
at the beginning, we were, let's say, brainwashed by our parents towards literature.
Yeah.
The gifts we were receiving were literature books.
Yeah.
Victor Hugo, and there's so many big writers from the beginning. But at the last 3 years after retirement from the Hotel Association, I devoted myself entirely, and as I mentioned to my then president at the association, Zacharias, why you are still young, you have so many years to open to the... No, my children made me to make a promise to them. At the age of 65, when you reach retirement, it's time to enjoy you as well and enjoy your grandchildren as well, because I was a workaholic. That means I was in love with my career and my job. So
This industry does
living in
that.
the
It
morning,
sucks you in.
and I was leaving the office every day, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, etc. So it was just if I could manage a bedtime story to tell them, etc. But at holidays, we had a quality time, etc. And I am honored to say that when my children said, "You are my mentor, Dad," my daughter was saying to me. So it means that at least the quality time might be as limited as possible. It was real quality time. And so I said to my president then, no, I made a pledge and promised to my children that at the age of 65, I give priority to spend more time with them and with my grandchildren. So what I have learned in life, I want to pass it on to my grandchildren, living and brought up in the States. You know how the mentality is money, only money. No, first of all, we have to be proper human beings with values and principles to guide us as human beings, and understand that you get more wealth by giving rather than by receiving. And this challenge, I must admit, I devoted myself in the first year of my retirement. Most of it I was spent in the States, staying with my precious daughter and my grandchildren, and I felt like a baby, taken care of, pampered, and but
So sweet.
I'm in love with Cyprus. I must say, brought up here, and all my life in the small is beautiful, and you experience it wherever you go and move, etc. The big distance in the States, although I must clarify that the love I am receiving from my daughter and my grandchildren is something else, but I cannot stay for months. And Biden has this notion, they honored me and granted me the green card. Okay, it was a process of almost 1.5 years. I make it, it's a joke. They even asked me a clean police record almost 50 years back when I was studying in the UK. I said, what is this? The clean police record.
Full check.
And it has some reasoning. When you are young and when you first went out from your house and your home country, how did you behave? It's an indication of character in a way. If you are into violent or other things, then you have a record of the police. So I contacted the police while we were living in London, etc., and at Guildford in Surrey, where the university I studied, to get a clear police record as part of the documentation.
Could they do it? I mean,
yes, and they issued, but there was, from our investigation, there was no record whatsoever for the name of Zacharias Ioannides and involved in any. With all the other documents and certificates, etc., and I managed to get the green card. But there is a condition. You have to stay minimum 6 months per year in the States. I said, my love, look, I love you and you love me. You know that. Do you want your father to be happy? This is the main concern and driving force. You take so much care of me. It's very moving, etc. But I miss Cyprus. Okay, Dad, make a list. Pros and cons. Where your happiness lies most. Our love does not have any territorial constraints. We can come and visit you for some holidays. You can come and visit us anytime for as long as you like. But this condition that the green card demands should not be the priority. The priority is your happiness. So I said, Buklaramu, I'm going back to Cyprus and I'll be visiting you a couple of times a year.
Yeah,
and you
it's
come
good.
for the holidays.
Best of both worlds.
So it's best of both worlds. And this is all described through the values of love, of sharing, of peace, of mind, in harmony with your soul, so as to be able to be on the receiving end of love, but also in sharing your love with other people, and for peace to prevail on earth.
Beautiful. And people can get copies of this. Can they get it on Amazon or not? Yeah.
Not yet on Amazon,
Not yet.
but in the bookshops in Cyprus, both Kyriakou bookshops in Limassol and Solonion bookshop in Nicosia.
Perfect. And also at St. Raphael Resort, we're going to be selling these as well.
It's an honor.
Yeah,
Thank
so if
you
you're a
for
guest here, guys, and you speak Greek, you must grab a copy of this. It's really beautiful and definitely nice, something nice to have in your home. So
it's a stimulation, let's say, of rediscovering our own selves, digging deep into our soul, because as the big writers and Nobel Prize winners of literature say, the wealth and the beauty lies within us. And once we discover this and we are in harmony with that, then you can be the recipient or the donor of love to each other.
well, that's the nice thing about poetry as well. It's the reflection and everything is with intent.
And purification of
where
your
the
own
words
soul.
are, the rhymes, how it's structured. It's quite good as a mathematician. It's
Yes.
it's the pieces of the puzzle that fall into
Although
place.
old may sound, mathematics and the sciences is nothing else, if you ask me, the ultimate derivative of this, but training you to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
What is physics?
Yeah.
What are the givens? What are you are aiming at as a solution? And how to develop the formula in order from the given input to come to the desired solution. And this has helped me a lot, apart from sports and basketball as a team spirit, as problem-solving capabilities. I never was
And
afraid
creative. I
to
love
go
all of these different
to even
aspects of
to
your
the
life.
most unbelievable. For example, 1991, we said the Gulf crisis. I proposed to my board, give me the green light to approach CNN to give us complimentary advertising campaign so as to convince the people of Europe that life is normal in Cyprus. We don't have any problem.
Yeah.
You remember there were
They have
saying,
sandbanks and all hiding.
Are there going to be coupons to get food or petrol in if I come to Cyprus? These kind of notions that were developed. And my boss said, Zacharias, you are daydreaming. CNN will come and offer us. But the year before, I had the chance and met one of the top executives of CNN at the International Hotel Association conference in Prague. Amanda knew, I remember still the name. He was the manager of Central Europe of CNN with her headquarters for Europe based in London. I said, if you think that you can try, but I don't think it's. I contacted Amanda. Dearest Amanda, my country is in need. I will appreciate your help, and we promise you'll get back the appreciation of the Cyprus population that you came to our help at the time of need. And also, as an association, we promote CNN, so the hotel, so they enter into commercial. Zacharias, we never done such a thing before to give complimentary advertising campaign, etc. But I'm not responsible. My region, as you know, is Central Europe, but I can. You see how I believe in the universe. But I can get you in touch with my colleague who is responsible for the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa region. He's Karim Abdallah, coming from Lebanon. Amanda, thank you very much. Get me in touch with Karim. Karim calls me, Lebanon. I said, dearest Karim, I don't know you, you don't know me, but you'll be our honored guest for an extended weekend holiday with our compliments to Cyprus. It was just Cyprus Airways flying at the time, you remember, all the airlines. And I arranged with Cyprus Airways to get a complimentary business class ticket for Karim to visit for an extended weekend. And coming from Lebanon, I said, you know what your country was going through. It's a similar experience we are going through, and unfairly, because there is no, and what I want to be our guest, an experience that life is normal, every day is moving, etc. I'm speaking a lot, my God.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
He had a long weekend and touring him around to all the seeing people enjoying themselves, having fun, dancing, romancing, etc. Life in Cyprus is normal, etc. And on Monday, we had a closing meeting at the office. Karim, what have you experienced? Are we in war in Cyprus? Do we see any threat? Or no, it's every normal life. It was great time. Can you pass it back to your board and our proposal for a complimentary advertising campaign? Not just saying fictitious things, just projecting, and I arranged with CTO to present the footage so as today in Cyprus. This is the message. And since from every day's life in Cyprus, seeing the normal life that is happening, etc. And the other part, when he came back, our board, for the first time ever, accepted to give complimentary advertising campaign of Cyprus of the worth of $500,000 value. And not only that, but after 2 years, because I'm a firm believer of the win-win, not just propose something, but at the same time, show to the other person that you are asking something that you are going to give to them something equivalent. Karim called me and said, I have a decision on my board to come and present you a plaque of acknowledging and recognizing the valued cooperation we had with Cyprus Hotel Association. And the plaque is still there at the office of the It means, as I say, by giving and receiving on a win-win proposition, not to take advantage of each other, but how to help each other grow. And
what goes around comes around.
And this is
and
the
karma.
beauty of
I mean,
life.
absolutely.
And this is what I'm receiving from my mentor for the last 3 years and cultivated this. And when he came last February, 3 months ago, saying, Zacharias, I'm pleased to say that you have reached the stage of the quality, mature wine of beauty, of poetry. And if you are willing, I'm eagerly ready to introduce your book
so
at
he
the
did the
beginning.
intro.
So he's introducing the book, Dr. Cyprus Ioannides, and I devoted my first book to him because he opened it. So, Dr. Cyprus Ioannides.
Lovely, yeah.
So when he said that, I must say it was a real fulfillment. I refer it as a spiritual orgasm, in the sense of you reach the stage of understanding the real benefits of spirituality and devoting yourself to learning from all the those people that they devoted themselves in cultivating their souls, their minds, and putting down paper. Or in any kind of art, painters, Dali and Michelangelo, Dominicos, Sotokopoulos, etc. Imagine Michelangelo lying on his back for 4 years and giving us these masterpieces of Capella 16. It's divine moments, you know. You just feel that you need to express yourself by whatever way. Painting, writing, poetry, literature, whatever. Human encounters and enjoying the moment and make the moment count. This is what.
And to keep growing and developing.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. So you've already said so many quotes. I mean, this episode has been packed with, my goodness, pearls of wisdom all the way. Do you have a favorite quote that you...
Make love, not war. This is what I have been cultivating from the Beatles, and I believe we didn't appreciate it at the time. We were just dancing and romancing, etc., with their beautiful melodies, etc. But the main message they passed were one word. So make love and not war.
Yeah, all you need is love.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so drum roll. The time has come for the bonus question. Oh, that's okay.
Wow. So
I
hand
read
it
it.
over
There
to
we
you.
go. This one was typed out, so I have no idea. Oh, I read it. There we go.
Oh my God.
What is the funniest and craziest thing you've ever done?
Funniest and craziest thing I ever done.
You've ever done.
I would say it's not just one, but it's one that always driving me through my life. Aim for the impossible. What others think is impossible, it's possible and manageable. Once you believe in it, then the universe comes and plays with it with only one precondition, that is for the common cause and the common good. Then God gives the instructions. God gives the instruction to the universe, so the synergies come and the impossible becomes a reality.
How nice. That's what they say. I'm possible. Impossible stands for I'm possible.
That's
Yeah. Thank you so much, Zacharias. This has been a fascinating chat
hope-
with you, as always. I mean, we've traveled.
so
We've had so many fun memories. I remember being at the back of a limousine in Moscow.
Promoting
And
the
just
weddings
promoting,
to Cyprus.
oh my
promoting
goodness.
the weddings to Cyprus. Yes,
Just
yes,
laughing a lot, and we did a lot. And yeah,
it was a pleasure for me as well.
the industry really appreciated everything you've done. And I can't wait to see not just this poetry book, but so many other things that I'm sure you're going to create and do. So we wish you all the best, every success. Keep doing what you're doing because you look great.
Oh,
and
thank you.
retirement suits you.
Oh, and I would say it's retirement, they refer to it, but it's a new chapter in life.
It's a new chapter.
It's you turn the chapter and develop a new priority of life, and it brings you closer to beauty. And beauty is what it's all about, especially within.
Thank you so much.
And you are privileged to have this beauty, not only outside, but within. Being a mother now, my God.
Yeah, thank you.
As I say, the most important title we can be honored to achieve and honor it duly is parenthood, be it fatherhood or motherhood.
It's the most important role, definitely.
Like a hurdle, you pass on from one generation to the next, and being the efficient and proper ambassador of what you leave behind and for your children.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the privilege and the pleasure of having this discussion, Farah.
Thank you so much, and every success always.
Likewise. Thank you.